everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am back in my natural habitat, which is sitting at my coffee table doing a puzzle. As you can see, I have made a little bit of progress since my last reading vlog with this specific puzzle, and I am going to sit down and puzzle and once again listen to an audiobook. This has been my preferred method of reading recently, and it has been working very well for me. If you are struggling with inspiration with reading, I would 100% recommend trying out this method of doing something easy and brainless and listening to an audiobook at the same time. A lot of people like to color or crochet. For me, puzzles, they're doing it for me right now. So I thought I would start another reading vlog. Initially this month, I had two planned for September. One is the mood read with me, which I just posted today. The second one was to do a reading thrillers for a week. I'm not a big thriller girl. I don't really read thrillers that often. It is probably the genre I have the least amount of books of on my bookshelf. However, I thought it would be fun to try to make it more thriller / mystery. So today I'm going to be reading some thriller / mystery vibes. I won't say that they're all classified that way because especially this first one, I'm not really sure if that's like the correct genre necessarily. In my mind, they give those spooky thriller mystery vibes. Do with that what you will. I'm not being super firm or harsh with this idea or concept for this video because, like I said, I'm not really into thrillers a lot of times. They just aren't my genre of choice. However, I do want to challenge myself to read some mystery thrillers, so I will read at least one. I think maybe with an audiobook format, they might be more enjoyable for me, so we're gonna try that out. But I'm gonna kind of ease myself in because I don't want to just start out with like a really popular thriller. I want to start out with something that's a little more mild and maybe a little bit more easy. So the first book that I'm going to be listening to is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. This is a YA mystery type of crime book. This has been in my TBR for a really long time, and I actually put this on my fall TBR. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and watch that. But since it's on my fall TBR, I thought it would be a perfect place to start out this video. And it's also YA, so I feel like the stakes are pretty low and it's not too long. So yeah, we're gonna give it a try. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna keep puzzling and I will update you along the way and let you know what I'm thinking about it and just my overall enjoyment level. It is already 10 p.m. on a Saturday, and these are my plans, but I am planning to stay up late tonight, so hopefully I enjoy this book. I will update you probably later tonight and let you know what I'm thinking. It is now the next day, and I have been reading Stalking Jack the Ripper. It is the morning. I stayed up until like 1 a.m. last night reading it and puzzling. And the good news is that I did finish my puzzle, so I will insert a clip and show you what it looks like. I'm obsessed with it. Anyways, I wanted to give you an update about the book. The audiobook, first of all, I would say is a 10 out of 10 experience. I really like the narrator. I like all the voices that she does. I feel like it is very enjoyable and it kind of builds suspense in the way that it's told. I do really like that. I will say that at times I do find myself kind of wandering off in my mind when I'm listening, which wasn't really an issue with the last couple of audiobooks that I have been listening to. And it's not because the narrator isn't doing a good job. I just feel like sometimes what we're talking about is a little boring and a little too in detail for what the story needs. Like we're talking very in detail about what each person is doing and saying and whatever. And sometimes I just feel like that extra detail isn't necessarily needed to add to the story for this book. However, overall, I am enjoying it. I think that something is going to happen. We're still kind of in the buildup of the story. I guess I'll kind of give you a little bit of like an overview of what the book is about. This book is basically about our main character. Her name is, I honestly don't even remember what her name is. Audrey. She kind of works in her uncle's lab because he is like a coroner of sorts. Like he kind of, you know, does autopsies on bodies and tries to figure out how they died, but he's kind of suspicious. In this like era, doing that is very suspicious. So yeah, he's a little weird. He's considered a little weird, but she's not really supposed to be doing what she does to help him out because she's a woman. And so basically we're trying to solve a mystery the whole time. There's murders that are going on, and she kind of becomes fascinated with murders and who is doing them. There's a little bit of like a romantic element going on that so far I'm enjoying, but who knows how that's going to turn out. Anyways, that is the update. My battery is about to die, so I am going to kind of leave it there, and then I'm going to change the battery and we can sit down and read some more for the day. But yeah, that's how I am enjoying this book. I would say like it's good, but it's not the best book I've ever read right now. That's how I'm feeling about it. Hello everyone. Another day, another puzzle, more reading. I finished my The World of Jane Austen puzzle last night, and then today ran some errands and I went to Barnes & Noble to get a new puzzle. I'm really enjoying these ones from this brand. I don't really know what the brand is, but you can get them at Barnes & Noble, and it's always just like The World of, and it's some sort of literary puzzle. This one that I will be doing next is The World of Frankenstein. I figured this would be fitting for the book that I'm reading right now, which is Stalking Jack the Ripper. I am still reading this. I'm about 40% into it. I'm on page 135, I believe, out of like 325. Slowly but surely making my way through. I'm on day 2 of reading it. I did get a good portion of it done while I was doing my puzzle last night. So that is the plan for tonight. I am going to sit here and do some more puzzling. I don't know if this is just what every reading vlog is going to look like of mine from here on out. I'm just going to be sitting here reading via audiobook while I do a puzzle, but for now it is helping me read a lot. And this month I have read more books than any other month this year. So this might be my new technique. Maybe I'll get into coloring too, because I do have a coloring book. I think also these types of hobbies are good because it keeps me occupied for a long period of time. So not only am I able to read for a long period of time, but I'm also not going out and like shopping or spending money and things like that, which is good. So yeah, I'm enjoying doing these puzzles and reading. This morning I was sitting and reading in my Papasan chair right here. So I did a little bit of like actual physical reading of the book. I am going back to my audiobook. I have a coffee right here. I just got this cup today from Anthropologie. I've been eyeing it for a while, so I decided to bite the bullet. I really wanted to get a festive one for a season, and they had these little ghost ones. I originally wanted the orange one with the black cat on it, but they didn't have that one, so I went with the ghost, and I'm glad I did that because I think I really like this one, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. I'm gonna sit here and drink my coffee. I got my AirPods today instead of my other Sony headphones just because I wanted to wear a headband, and obviously I can't do that with my over-the-ear headphones, so I'm gonna pop in my AirPods and start the audiobook and start a new puzzle, and this might just be our new normal for reading vlogs, so let's get into it. All right, everyone. I am back to give an update on Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. This book has been very interesting. This is not my typical genre or, I don't know, just general vibe of book that I go for. So I honestly wasn't really sure what to expect going into this one. I have heard some mixed reviews about it. I would definitely say that I understand where that general sentiment comes from. I'm not really sure how I feel about this book so far, and I'm over 70% done with it. I would say I would say probably like 75% done with this book, and I still don't really know how I feel about it. The one thing I will say is that maybe I'm just kind of dumb. It's kind of a whodunit, and I don't know who done it. You know what I mean? I have like a few theories, but then it seems like we get evidence presented to us that will debunk a theory in a certain way, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of those books where like the author will make it seem as though some theory has been debunked, and then something else will come out later that we never could have guessed, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine. So we will see how that ends up going. I don't like it when the perp isn't guessable. I guess the suspect, if you will, the murderer. Not the suspect. Anyways, I want to be able to guess it from the beginning. From the beginning, though, I honestly, I had a guess of who it was from the beginning, but then I'm just not sure anymore if that's who it is. And honestly, to a certain extent, I'm not really that invested to the point where it's like, I don't really care who it is at this point. Like, I really don't feel invested in the story. I do kind of find myself wandering off in my mind and thinking about other things while I'm reading it. It's interesting to a certain extent. Like, there are parts of it where it does pick up and I get more interested in it, but a lot of the writing is very detailed, and I kind of just find myself mentally skipping over it because it just feels a little unnecessary and extra. I don't know. It's so hard because it's like I'm enjoying it to a certain extent, but it's just not really like standing out to me in any sort of way. Plot isn't really standing out to me. I do kind of like this historical mystery thriller type of vibe. I wouldn't call it a thriller. It's more of a mystery. I don't know. Something about it is just feeling kind of off. I'm feeling very disconnected from the characters in the story, and it's not really feeling like, I don't really feel like I'm dying to know what's going to happen next, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm going to DNF it because at this point I'm already like super far into it, and it's not like it's a bad book. Like, I don't feel like I would DNF it, but I'm just saying I feel like at certain points I'm just not really paying attention as much as I would normally to a book. There are certain points where it starts to lose me. I will say the beginning of this book, I personally think was way too detailed and long, and nothing really happened until like the middle. I feel like we were getting a little bit of backstory on the characters, but even then, like, some of the characters we get like barely any backstory on, and it's like, what are we really accomplishing in the first half of the book besides just like going into really immense detail on things that don't really seem to make any sense or matter really? I don't know if any of this is making sense. These are just my observations of the book so far. Now, all of this to say, I'm only 70%, maybe 75% into the book so far. So I don't know, maybe in the last 25% of the book, things will pick up and get really interesting and I'll become super invested. But as of right now, I'm not really feeling like this is top of mind. I feel like once I am done reading this book, I probably won't think about it ever again. While it is kind of meeting those like Halloween spooky vibes that I was setting out for a little bit, this isn't like my favorite book by any means. And I honestly just don't think I'm going to think about it ever again after I'm done reading it. But I will give the book credit in the fact that it is kind of living up to the spooky Halloween-y vibes that you want this time of year. That's how I'm feeling about the book. That's what I'm thinking. I will obviously let you know what I think once I'm done with it. I'm gonna keep reading tonight. It's already like 11 o'clock, but I might stay up and read a little bit tonight because I only really have like an hour and a half left in the audiobook, and I kind of just want to finish the book. But if I don't end up finishing it tonight, then I will finish it tomorrow and let you guys know what I think. Everyone, and welcome to a new day and a new reading opportunity in this reading vlog. I have quite an update for you. I feel like I'm having brain fog this morning. Maybe I need to just like take a break and make a coffee. So let me go do that. That is much better. I'm feeling so much more energized. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the reading vlog, let you know what my thoughts are and what's going on, what I'm reading, all of that. Last night I finished Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I ended up giving this book a 3 stars, and I will go into more detail at the end of this video on what I thought about it. Sorry, my cats are having a field day in the background. Overall, like, it was enjoyable. I just found myself kind of falling into a pattern of, you know, paying attention for a few chapters and then the next couple of chapters would kind of lose my attention. So I just found myself falling into that kind of pattern of like being interested and then not being interested. And honestly, I felt like there was almost too much description about things that weren't really like pertinent to the story in this book. Especially at the beginning, I felt like we were getting into like a lot of detail about things that didn't really affect the story or the characters that much. And I felt like it was honestly just like filler. Like, I feel like a lot of the information was just filler information to make the book longer and didn't necessarily actually like add to the plot. I also felt like the overall plot and ending were pretty predictable. It wasn't anything like shocking or spooky or anything like that. However, I will say it was giving a very atmospheric vibe, so I felt like it was a good read for this time of year, for reading in September, October. So if you are looking for like a murder mystery type of spooky whodunit type of book, this does kind of fit that MO. I just feel like there was a lot of like extra information that wasn't really needed. That kind of just dragged the story on for longer than was necessary. So that's why I ended up giving this 3 stars. Like, it was enjoyable overall, and I probably would recommend it, but only for like if you're looking for this type of atmospheric, spooky whodunit mystery vibe for this time of year. I really wouldn't recommend this for any other time of year because it doesn't really make sense. 3 stars, nothing crazy, nothing too revolutionary is going on in this book. I will give you more thoughts on this book at the end of the reading vlog, as I always do, but I wanted to let you guys know what I am now reading after finishing that book. I am now reading The Last Word. This is what it looks like, by Taylor Adams. I'm reading this on Kindle Unlimited, and I've heard a really mixed batch of reviews about this book. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it is a thriller. The short summary of what this book is about is that there's this girl, she reads a book, she gives it a negative review. I think she gives it like a 1-star review or something, and the author basically freaks out and kind of starts to be really creepy after that and starts to kind of stalk her. I think it's kind of this mystery thriller vibe. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm only like 15% into the book, so I'm not very far into it, but overall, I am enjoying the vibe. I feel like it is giving me that like thrilling, goosebumps, like heart pumping vibe that a thriller normally gives. I will say I'm probably not, I don't know if I would consider myself a harsh rater for thrillers because I don't read them that often, so I feel like it wouldn't take much to spook me because I purposely avoid like thriller and horror as genres because I don't like scary things. I don't like to be spooked. However, I do feel like I am kind of a harsh rater. If the plot twists don't get me, then I'm not going to give it like a really good review. We'll see if this plot twist gets me. Some people say it's a really good plot twist. Some people say that they guessed it from the beginning. So I don't really know. I don't really have any ideas right now because I feel like we don't know enough about, you know, who the characters are. I feel like we haven't even met any characters to really guess what the plot twist is going to be. I'm just getting into it. Nothing really to report yet, but I will obviously report back when there is something. I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. I've only really ever read one other thriller in recent times, and that was A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. Like, it wasn't anything revolutionary or crazy. So I don't know. I'm probably going to be comparing this one to that one just because it's the only thriller that I've read semi-recently. We're going to be learning a lot about my thriller mystery taste in this video together. is. But before I begin, I wanted to give you guys a quick update about The Last Word, which is the book that I have been reading, and I've been mostly listening to it on audiobook, but I also have been reading it on my Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an update, let you know what I'm thinking about it. I am, I think, almost 90% into the book. I only have like 10% left, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to check in and let you know what I'm thinking before I go ahead and finish this book today. So this is probably one of my favorite thrillers I've read. I haven't read very many. In fact, I really can only think of 2 that I've read recently. I'm liking the plot twists. There have been a few twists that I just never would have guessed and that I was like genuinely shocked about. Some of the things I kind of guessed from the beginning and I wasn't really shocked about, but some of the things really did shock me and my jaw was on the floor, and I was like telling my boyfriend about it because I was so just like genuinely confused and was not expecting that. So I love when a thriller can kind of throw me for a loop like that and give me something unexpected, because sometimes I feel like if it is super predictable, then it's not as fun to read a thriller. In terms of spook, I'm definitely feeling the spook factor with this book. There are some very spooky things going on. I wouldn't say I'm like necessarily like scared, but it is giving me that like thrilling aspect that I really enjoy about a thriller. As of right now, I'm thinking that I'll probably end up rating this a 4 stars, but who knows? The last 10% is probably going to be crazy. I mean, that's kind of what thrillers do. So I am going to keep reading and I will give you an update once I have finished. But as of right now, I'm enjoying it. It is not too scary where like I'm actually like looking over my shoulder and like afraid, but it is giving me that like thrilling, heart pumping, I don't know, a little bit of fear, but I'm not like gonna have nightmares over it. So this is like the perfect type of thriller for me. So right now I'm about to sit down and just puzzle a little bit for a little while, and then I am going to also finish up the audiobook. I have about, it says an hour and 15 minutes left, but I think it's probably more like 30 minutes if you take into account the fact that I'm listening to it on 1.75 speed. So we will see how long it takes me to finish it, but I am planning to finish this book today and I will let you guys know what I think. Okay everyone, I just finished The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and I actually already returned it, but I was listening to it on Libby. I borrowed it on Libby with my local library. I did the audiobook. I really enjoyed the audiobook. It was very good. I read it also on Kindle at night. I was reading it on Kindle Unlimited because it's on Kindle Unlimited right now. Overall, I really enjoyed the book. I do think some of the aspects of it were a little too convenient for my personal taste. Like, I just feel like there were so many points where I was like, okay, this is going to be the end of the book. Like, this is going to be the end. And then it just kind of kept going. And in a certain way, I felt like it went maybe a little farther than we needed to go. Overall, I really enjoyed it and I had a good time reading it, and it was very thrilling and it gave me that thrilling feeling that I am looking for with a thriller. I ended up rating it 4 stars. I will go into more detail about my thoughts and everything like that at the end of the video when I do a little bit of a wrap up, but I'm really enjoying this puzzle that I'm doing. It is Frankenstein themed, so it was kind of like going with the vibe of this video with mysteries and thrillers. So yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised with that book. I am honestly enjoying this like mystery thriller video more than I thought I would. I thought I would honestly kind of have to force myself to read these types of books a little bit because it's not my usual type of book that I go for. I usually go for a fantasy or a romance, and I'm really proud of myself for getting out of my comfort zone and discovering new things that I like. Like, I genuinely enjoyed that book. You know, I rated it 4 stars, so it is a book that I liked and would recommend to people. A 4-star rating is a really good rating, so yeah, I'm proud of myself for continuously getting out of my comfort zone, and I hope to do more of these reading vlogs in the future. I know I'm like kind of looking ahead a little bit, but I'm hoping to do more reading vlogs in the future where I'm reading genres that I don't read a lot and I'm trying something new. So far, this video is going super well. I'm now going to start a new book for this video. This is probably going to be the last one that I read in this video, just because I think think 3 books is a good number for a reading vlog. I think what I'm now going to do is read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. It just became available on Libby, so I think I am going to listen to this. I'm actually so shocked that this was a skip the line copy because I placed a hold on it and it said 20 weeks was how long it was going to take, and then I just happened to look at the skip the line copies today and saw that it was available in audiobook format, which is exactly what I want, for I think it's like 2 weeks or 7 days, I don't know. But either way, I'm like, that's crazy that it's just simply available so easily when the wait time is like 20 weeks. So anyways, I'm gonna start listening to this. Hopefully I enjoy it. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this book recently, so I'm excited to try it out. This one is kind of about it's like a summer camp or something, and one of the girls goes missing, but the girl who goes missing is the daughter of the people who own the camp, and they're like really rich and they have a lot of secrets. It's also like extra suspicious because I think one of their kids before had gone missing in the same circumstances. It's a little bit of like a mystery thriller type of vibe, but it also takes place in the 70s, which I think is interesting. I've never read a book like this before, but I am going to start listening to this on Libby, and I will let you guys know what I think.
Read for you by Saskia Marlebell.
Hi guys, this is another update for my reading of God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I'm really enjoying this book so far, more than I honestly thought I would. I'm not really a big fan of books that take place in like the 70s, 80s. I feel kind of disconnected from that era of time. I tend to like books that are either like more further in the past or in like a present or futuristic timeline. So I was a little hesitant going into this because other books that I've read that take place in the 70s and 80s and even the 60s, I haven't really enjoyed that much. That's just not my favorite era of time to read about. However, this book I feel like is really unique, and I am actually really enthralled and just like really in the story. There have been a lot of things that have happened that my jaw has kind of been on the floor. I feel like I have not been doing a good job of guessing what's going to happen in this book, which I actually really like. I like when a mystery thriller can kind of throw me in a loop and have plot lines that I wasn't expecting. So I feel like this book is doing a really good job of that. And I also feel like one thing that sets this book apart from the other mystery and thriller books that I've read in this video are the characters. I feel like we really get to know the characters in depth in this book, and the author does a really good job of letting us in enough with the characters to understand their motives and who they are without giving us enough information to kind of figure out who's gonna do what and what their true character is, if that makes sense. So I feel like she really does a great job at towing the line between giving us too much information but still giving us enough to kind of know the characters and feel like we understand their motives and their inner demons. Other than that, like I said, am appreciating the things that are happening that I'm just unable to predict. And there have been so many moments in time where I'm thinking one person is suspicious and then, they earn my trust back and then they're suspicious again. So I've really been in this book struggling with who to trust, who is a reliable character. And I also really like the way that she has written this book. I think the perspectives in the then and now timeline are really well done. And I am typically like not one who likes a multi-perspective type of book. Like I'm okay with 2 perspectives or 3 perspectives, but this book has quite a few perspectives, and sometimes I feel like that can get really muddled, and it has at times been a little confusing. However, I would say for the most part it's executed really well, and especially the ones that are in the past, I feel like I really understand the difference in time that's going on. I 100% would recommend the audiobook for this book. I've been listening to it on Libby, and I borrowed it from my library, and it was actually a skip the line copy because there is quite a long wait on this book right now. So I got really lucky and got it on a skip the line copy on Libby. But the audiobook is really well done, and I really like how the narrator does the different characters' voices. I feel like they're distinct and you always kind of know which perspective you're in. So I felt like that was good, especially when, in a multi-perspective type of book, it's easy to get disoriented and not really know what time you're in and whose perspective you're in. I feel like the narrator in the audiobook does a really good job of really grounding you in a perspective and a timeline in the story. So I really am enjoying this book so far. I really shouldn't even say so far because I'm almost done with it. I think I have like maybe 6 or 7% of the book left to read. So I am going to continue reading. I actually started a new puzzle. I finished my other puzzle I was working on. It was a Frankenstein themed puzzle from the same series that I've been doing. So far I've done Dracula, Jane Austen, and then that one was Frankenstein. And now I'm starting The World of King Arthur. So I've already done the outline of it earlier when I was listening to God of the Woods. I am going to keep going with the puzzle. I've kind of leveled up my puzzle game. I've now got a mat underneath it that you can roll up and make sure the puzzle, stays intact overnight when you're not working on it. So I've leveled up my game a little bit. I'm getting more serious about it, but I'm about to do more of my puzzle and finish up listening to the book, and then I will sit down with you guys and share my final thoughts on everything. Hello everyone, it is now the end of this reading vlog, and I thought since it is the end I would recap all of the books that I read and just kind of talk about my thoughts on them, the ratings that I gave them, everything that anyone could possibly want to know. First, I want to start out by saying I don't read thriller mystery that often. This is not a genre that I'm typically comfortable with or that I typically reach for. I spook really easily. I think I've said that a few times in this vlog, but I spook really easily, so I don't really typically like to reach for types of media that I know are going to spook me out or make me a little bit afraid. However, I was pleasantly surprised in this reading vlog by how much I enjoyed these books and how much I felt like I took away from them. And I'm really proud of myself for stepping out of my comfort zone and exploring a new genre that I typically don't read. And I definitely feel like after this video, I will maybe reach for these types of books more often than I would have before. So I'm really glad that I did this video, and I know that it's themed for spooky season, so I feel like this is the perfect time to get into a new genre, whether it's thriller or mystery or even horror if you're interested in horror. Personally, that's not me. I don't think I'll ever venture into horror as a genre, just not for me. But mystery thriller, I felt safe doing, and it was a really good time. I read 3 books in this video. The first one was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. This is a historical mystery whodunit type of vibe. I kind of want to say it gives like retelling vibes, even though Jack the Ripper isn't necessarily like a story that can be retold, but it does give that kind of retelling vibe, if you will. This is about our main character, Audrey Rose, has been kind of studying under her uncle, who's kind of like a coroner in this time, and there have been a string of murders going on, and we come to find out that the person committing these murders is Jack the Ripper. And so we're kind of trying to figure out who is Jack the Ripper. And she is kind of having a little bit of a detective era in this book. She's really trying to figure out who it is. She's trying to follow clues while also living within the confines of being a woman in this time period. So it's really interesting how limited she is in her access to things because she is a young woman and she's not really able to just walk freely out in society and do whatever she wants. So there's a lot of pushback in this investigation that she's got going on. I enjoyed this book. I think it was definitely worthwhile to read. I think it was atmospheric. It had that spooky Halloween-y October vibe that I was looking for. So I really did enjoy this book. So in that sense, I do feel like this book was a good read. There were some things that I didn't necessarily enjoy as much about the book. I felt like we didn't really get to connect to the characters that much in this book. I feel like we weren't really given enough backstory on them to really build a relationship with the characters and care about them and be invested in their story and what happens to them and everything like that. So I did feel really disconnected from the story, and at sometimes I even felt pretty uninterested in like what was going on. I think that in that sense, there were times that it was lagging or that I wasn't really paying attention as much and it wasn't as engaging. So for that reason, I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. I would recommend it because it is, like I said, a good seasonal read, a good atmospheric October vibe. However, it's just nothing crazy. It's nothing that I would say is like revolutionary, or I wouldn't say I loved this book. I would just say it was enjoyable and it was a baseline 3-star read. The next 2 books that I read on Libby and on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical versions of them, but the next one I read is called The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and this was really interesting. This is only the second thriller that I've read this year, and I don't really have much to compare it to because, like I said, I don't really pick up thrillers that often. However, I did enjoy this one. I liked the the twists. I didn't predict a lot of what was going to happen. I do feel like the ending was a little bit unsatisfying. I don't know why, but I just felt like I was left wanting a little bit more. And I do feel like certain things about the plot were a little too convenient for me personally. And sometimes I felt like it was just kind of dragging on. Like I would feel like we had reached the end of the story that would feel natural, and then it would just keep going on. So in that sense, it was a little disappointing. However, I did really enjoy the book more than I was expecting to. I think when I set out to read this book, I was a little bit worried because it is a thriller. Thrillers are really hard, I've heard, to rate because you don't really get that emotional connection to the characters like you do in a romance or a fantasy or whatever. So I feel like for me, one of the main things I look for is feeling a connection to the characters. And so if that's not there, I feel like I don't rate it as high. And that tends to be something that I've heard from other, booktubers and other people who read a lot that is lacking in thrillers. So that's kind of what I felt here. However, I will say that overall I enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat at certain points. There were certain points where my jaw was on the floor. I was truly shocked. I feel like it really gave me that thrilling, heart-pumping aspect that you look for in a thriller, and that is just perfect for this time of year and this season. So I originally rated this 4 stars. I think right in the wake of it, I was kind of still processing like what happened and what I had just read. But upon further reflection, and after I read the 3rd book, I decided that this book is actually a 3.5. So my final rating for the book is 3.5 stars. I do think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than I did Stalking Jack the Ripper. However, the 3rd book is the reason that I decided to lower the rating for The Last Word, because I feel like that one just was at a higher level of writing and storytelling. And I kind of realized like, okay, now that I have something else to compare this to in terms of the writing and the, plot twist and whatever, I just felt like it was right to bring that down to a 3.5. So that being said, the last book that I read for this video was The God of the Woods, as you guys saw, and I ended up rating that a 4 stars. The reason it's not more than that is because there were certain points where I felt like the book was a little bit longer than it needed to be. We were going into a lot of detail, and I understand why that was the thing. Like, I understand why the author was going into so much detail, because there were a lot of plot lines and timelines and characters and perspectives to weave together. So there was a lot of context that was needed. I do feel like at certain points, going back in time and coming back into the present of when the book was, happening was a little confusing to me. I do feel like I was getting lost at certain points, not very often, but certain points. So that's why I felt like it was a 4 star, not a 5 star. However, I will rave about the writing in this book till the day I die, because there was incredible writing, incredible lines, and really moving just phrases and paragraphs in this book that really made me think about a lot of things. I feel like this book had that element of getting to know the characters that the other 2 were kind of missing. I felt connected to the characters. I felt invested in the story, and I felt like these characters had so much depth and personality to them, and it was very visceral and palpable. I also feel like I had no idea where the story was going the entire time. Like, I did not predict anything that was going to happen in this book, and I feel like the ending was realistic for the story, which I think sometimes thrillers and mysteries can kind of have an unrealistic ending that doesn't make sense. And this one did a really good job of tying all the loose ends together in a way that made sense, that I think was the perfect ending for the story. So for all of those reasons, I rated it a 4 stars, beautiful writing, just a really great story, really solid. A few points it was losing me here and there with a lot of detail and a lot of, explanation going on. But overall, 4 stars, really good, solid story. And if you are looking for a mystery that is really captivating and really engaging, that might be the one for you. So anyways, those are the 3 books that I read in today's reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading vlog. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more reading content, book content, and just cozy, fun content. The vibes are good here. I was so happy that I got to do a themed reading vlog like this year. I want to do more. Maybe I'll do one for Christmas, like reading Christmas books for a week or something like that, because I really like having a theme to the videos, and it kind of gets me out of my comfort zone. So I feel like this was a really good reading vlog for me to do, and I feel like I got a lot out of it. That being said, that is all for today's video, and I will talk to you very soon in my next one. Look out for it.